Okay, so we have our water wall, as I call it. I'm working on figuring out plans for this. So right now I have the HEG water system. I have the water heater there on the right-hand side. On the back is my reverse osmosis / deionization filter system. I store water in that blue tank. I'll get into this more in depth in another video. Ultimately, there are two things I'm trying to figure out here. One, I think that I need to have a TV in the garage, not because I really want to watch it. I just think it looks great on that wall. So this 32-inch TV I kind of stole from another room just to see how it would look. I think I'm going to try to find like a 40 or 43 on sale that would fit a little bit nicer in that spot. Obviously hide those cables inside the wall, or do something to make those look a lot better. This is my network equipment, Wi-Fi, the cameras outside the garage, etc. So that's fairly permanent. But this portion here, I want to clean up a little bit. Obviously above my hose reel, there's some empty space there, and I'm thinking that I want to go to a wall mount pressure washer and replace this Greenworks unit. So that's what I'm working on today. So ideally I would love something like, I don't know, a Kronzel or something along those lines. The problem that I have is that my entire garage is on a single 15 amp circuit. So, all of my lights, all of my receptacles, and I know this because, for example, if I plug in a shop vac and my compressor kicks on at the same time, it'll blow the breaker. And then all the lights go out and everything stops working, and then I have to go and, turn that all back on. So what I'm gonna see if I can do today is figure out a path to bring and I need to bring 12 gauge to run the 20 amp circuit. So essentially what I need is a 20 amp receptacle that I would be able to, or outlet that I would be able to plug a pressure washer into. The Kranzel requires a 20 amp dedicated circuit. So would an AR Blue or a lot of the other higher end pressure washers. The wiring that is in the garage walls is 14 gauge, and 14 gauge per code cannot run anything above a 15 amp circuit breaker. So my panel is on the back side of that wall. It's actually an exterior panel in California. So I have to see about fishing that wall up into the attic. There are paths where the cabling already goes across the ceiling, and then, fish this wall to put a 20 amp receptacle in with a rework box, and then, have an electrician come over and button it all up so that it's, appropriate and to code and safe. So that's what I'm trying to figure out today. Gonna go to Lowe's and get some fiberglass fish rods because I only have the metal ones, and I don't want to try fishing this wall with the metal fish rods, obviously, because there's other live circuits and things over there. And see where we go from there. So here's my panel. As you can see, it's on the outside of our house. And then, up in the top, you can see where all the grommets are that feed the wires up into the wall. So this is hidden, from the inside of the house. So you need to figure out how to fish this wall up into the attic, which is accessible. But I'm not sure if there's fire block in the wall or what I'm gonna have to do. The inside of the wall has a header, so that's definitely gonna need to be drilled. So I'm up in my attic. My power cables run along the top. As you can see, that's where all of the power cables enter through the double header. There's another one over here, but this is actually for a receptacle that's down below. So I brought my fiberglass rod down, and it took about 8 feet of it. Bumped into the top of the box. So it seems like it should be down below, sitting right on top of my box. So I found my fiberglass rod, and I grabbed it with a pair of these long reach, barely opening pliers, and I pulled that out and attached my 12 gauge 25 foot cable to it. I still need to add the grommet in that it's going to feed through to protect the cable from being chafed on the way up. So I ran to Lowe's and grabbed a grommet that I could snap into the top of the electrical panel, and then fished the 12-2 through the wall and up into the attic. It's a 25-foot piece. I actually picked up two 25-foot pieces. My intention is to put a junction box in the attic. Now I get to start all over and fish the other wall. So to start that one, I kind of cut a hole in the wall to match a rework box, which is it's a blue plastic box that is designed to be put into drywall after the drywall has already been finished, meaning it's not a nail-on box that's meant to nail onto a stud. So cut a hole in the drywall, mount the rework box in there, and then use the fish rod to fish the wall and run the cable into the back of the rework box. The problem that I have in my particular house is that the roof line of the back wall of my garage, the roof kind of comes in from the dining room, which is next door. So I get to crawl through the attic of the dining room to get to the top of the wall, the water wall, where I want to put my new 20 amp receptacle. And here we have the finished product. So we've got a single 20 amp circuit. It's fed by a 12 gauge. We actually did a junction box up in the ceiling, well, not in the ceiling, but in the attic, so it's accessible, which is to code. In case I want to add another circuit later, like maybe for a compressor to come off of this dedicated line. You know, the idea here is that the pressure washer doesn't need to be the only thing that is on the circuit. It just needs to be the only thing that is on the circuit at the same time running. So the idea here is that something like a pressure washer and a compressor can both be on the same dedicated circuit. As long as you're not using them both simultaneously, you'll be perfectly fine, and either one of them will have all 20 amps to use whenever they kick on. So, you know, I've got my old 15 amp circuit down here, which is still active and works, and my TV that's on the other side of this wall is plugged into it. There's my dedicated 20, and that'll be for my new pressure washer, whatever that may be. You know, and like I said, I've got a junction up there and breaker in the panel that it's connected to. For this kind of stuff, you know, check your local codes. You probably need to hire an electrician to do the work. I did, you know, but there's the finished product. So now I can add whatever pressure washer I want. Now that I have my dedicated 20 amp circuit installed on my water wall, I'm going to work on, the next video will be upgrading my capacity of my water tanks, my holding tanks for my reverse osmosis / deionization. So stay tuned for that video.